Romanée-Conti, a name intrinsically associated with the world of fine wine and the rarest, most expensive and coveted wines in the world. Domaine de la Romanée-Conti, also known as DRC, is named after their monopoly vineyard of La Romanée-Conti and is the pinnacle of fine wine. You might expect a vineyard that produces wines that sell for tens of thousands of pounds to be surrounded by security. However, La Romanée-Conti is as modest as they come. Nestled amongst 7 other Grand Cru vineyards, this tiny vineyard is the jewel of the village of Vosne-Romanée.
Why is Vosne-Romanée so famous?
Vosne-Romanée, it's up in the Côte de Nuits. It's a small village, but it has some of the best producers in Burgundy are located in Vosne-Romanée, and the best is Domaine de la Romanée-Conti. That's a small property. They have just about 29 hectares of vineyards. I think nearly all of that, apart from a very, very small vineyard of Vosne-Romanée Premier Cru, all of that is Grand Cru. The pinnacle of their domain is the vineyard La Romanée-Conti itself, which is 1.8 hectares. So yeah, a couple of football fields, very small. That wine, I think the current release is selling in America now for about $20,000 a bottle. It's supply and demand, very, very small quantities made. The collectors of the world, the connoisseurs of the world really want to drink that wine and they will pay for it. So I guess the prestige for Vosne-Romanée comes from people like that. It's kind of like Pauillac in Bordeaux, where all the first growths are, famous town because of that. And I think Vosne-Romanée is kind of a bit the same. It's got some of the really kind of like super stellar, expensive wines and great producers, based in that village.
Burgundy's Grand Cru ranking system wasn't officially defined until the early 1900s. However, La Romanée-Conti was noted for its superiority hundreds of years earlier and was distinguished from the other vineyards of Vosne-Romanée in 1584. In 1760, the vineyard gained its current name when it was sold to Louis-François de Bourbon, the Prince of Conti, who used it to produce wines for his own personal consumption. He paid an astonishing 10 times the price of what the prestigious Clos de Bez vineyard had sold for just 10 years earlier. Although the vineyard has passed hands multiple times, in 1942 it fell into the joint ownership of the Vienne and Leroy Roche families, who have managed it ever since.
It's been in the same family for generations. It's run now by Aubert de Villaine, who's, real gentleman of Burgundy, one of the most respected winemakers and vineyard owners in the whole region. All of the Côte d'Or now is classified as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and since 2015, and he was the one really pushing for that. And the actual Romanée-Conti vineyard and the domain itself, they're kind of based right in the center of Vosne-Romanée. They're based where the church is. Actually, they're on the site of an old Benedictine abbey.
The wines of La Romanée-Conti hold a certain aura in the world of fine wine, and in 2018 a single bottle sold for a record-breaking price of £424,000. This was the 1945 vintage, the last vintage of Romanée-Conti before the phylloxera crisis, and a historical wartime vintage which was primarily managed by the local women while the men were fighting. For a bottle of a more recent vintage, a buyer would expect to pay well over £15,000.
So what does Domaine Romanée-Conti taste like?
Well, if you've got a credit card, let's find out. As you can imagine, it's the best, one of the best expressions you can get of Burgundy. And really what you want to find in great wines is balance, good acidity, not too high in alcohol. You really want sort of balance, subtlety, you want finesse, you want velvety, silky, smooth tannins. And really what you want to have in an expensive wine, a good quality wine, is that length. I would think a lot of people would agree it's the singular most amazing expression of Pinot Noir. And it's definitely something that, Pinot Noir makers all over the world would aspire to making something like that. So that's what it is. It's just the best.